verse 20. Let's look at 20. Yeah, let's look at read 20, 21. But power said to him, you fool, this night your life shall be demanded from you. Then whose shall those things be which you have? So is he that lays up treasure for himself. Now watch this in verse 21. And is not rich toward power. So is it a sin to be wealthy? No. The sin comes in when the riches of this world are greater than the richness of the Abba in your life. Yes. If you are rich with all these natural things, but you are poor in spirit, meaning you have no depth of his Torah, you have no discipline. And this is why he died. Not because of his substance, but because of the lack of substance concerning the Abba in his life. Because you can have all the money in the world and still be poor.
That's right.
Still be poor. I'm gonna show y'all poor people. All them people that went to, Kanye West Church.
Yeah.
Those are poor people. You know why they're poor? Because they have no value. They have no sense of direction or value. And this fool got a Bible. I said it, fool. Because a fool would follow anybody so ignorant and retarded. You know the truth? Blinded. Blinded. Because they have no depth of truth in them. And you have to understand, I've seen even on Facebook that so-called Bible, and I've seen people open it up, and I just kind of went past it. Was it Jesus?
Yes. Yes.
Something like Jesus. And they open it up, and I'm like, y'all, you're just silly. You're just as silly and crazy as they are. To follow this, put down truth, and grab a hold of that mess. You know why? Because people are looking at his substance. They're not looking at the depth of truth. He knows no truth. The truth stood in his doorway. He wouldn't know it if it slapped him in the face. But people follow after this. Why? Because it's exciting. You know, I went to his church. I got a chance to talk to him. He's a man just like you are. He's a human being just like you are. But he possesses something really evil. He's demented. And he got issues. He is. He's crazy. And people will follow that. That just shows you how crazy they are. And they have no depth in them at all. At all. He was poor when it came to the things of the Abba. Are y'all following?
Yes.
And this is why the Abba dealt with him. And he said these things. Now, once again, this is not a made-up story. These are things that have actually taken place. All right, let's pick up, at verse 22. Let's read 8.
Verse 22 of Luke chapter 12. And he said unto his disciples, therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life what you shall eat, neither for the body what you shall put on. The life is more than meat, and the body is more than raiment. Consider the ravens, for they neither sow nor reap, which neither have storehouse nor barn, and Yahuwah feeds them. How much more are you better than the fowls? And which of you with taking thought can add to his stature 1 cubit? If you then be not able to do that thing which is least, why take you thought for the rest? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not, they spin not, and yet I say unto you, that Solomon in all his esteem was not arrayed like one of these. If then Yahuwah so clothes the grass, which is to young in the field, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will you clothe you, O ye of little belief? And seek not you what you shall eat, or what you shall think, or what you shall drink. Neither be you of doubtful mind. And it is so.
And it is so. Now, once again, it's important that we understand why is he getting on them about these things? Because look at what was out there first. This man was wealthy, but he was greedy. He was covet. He was covetous. He coveted things, and so therefore, Abba Yahuwah through Yahush is dealing with him concerning his covetousness, because he was, but he wanted more. Learning to be satisfied and content with what you had. Somebody said, well, we're not supposed to want to have more. Why do you want more? That's the question. Why do you want more? You have a house. You have a nice vehicle because you want to help somebody or because you saw what the next person has and you want to double what you have so that you will look better than what they do. That's the question. Why do we want more? That's important, very important for us to ask that question. Excuse me. Now, once he said to his disciples, therefore I say to you, take no thought for your life, what you shall eat, neither for the body, what you shall put on. Now, once again, in other words, do not be excessive with it. To where now, this is all you do. You ain't thinking about nothing else but that. That's your whole goal. You know how you have people that are workaholics? All they do is work. You tell them, say, you know, you got to take the Sabbath. You have to be, because you can take off, but it is according to how bad you want to. And if you really are more concerned about being obedient, then you're going to do what is necessary. And the Abba will put in, or he will open doors for you to be able to keep it. But it is not his responsibility. It is our responsibility. I can't live beneath my means. What are your means and why are they set there? Are y'all following me?
Yes.
I heard a Moray say, you know, it was just him and his Isha, 2,000 or 3,000 square home to a man, his wife, or his Isha, and their 3 to 4 children, because they needed the space. They didn't. Many times we do stuff because we're trying to look big. We get that mentality like Ananias and Sapphira. We're going to hold back because we're going to always be up one.
Right.
That's not the mindset that Yashar should ever have. It is not. We should strive to have things of equality and not, you know, well, we got more than you, you know, you need. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
That's important for us to understand. Now, once again, therefore, or there is more to life than food and more to the body than clothes. Now, this is why he is making this statement. Is this saying that there's trash? No, because they were businessmen. They had their own businesses. They were fishermen. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
But he's telling them your focus is not just to be on that. Your focus is to be on puts on, then what your Ruach puts on, there's a problem. Because if you will eat and just get everything and go, and it don't matter, you dilly-dabbying in this, you indulging in that, you look you're indulging in the zodiac, you're indulging in your so-called chakra, you're indulging in this, you're indulging in that to clothe your Ruach. You know, my question was, before all this really became popular, people were going on with life like wasn't no problem to it. Now, my chakra backed up. How do you know? Somebody told me. But you were going along fine until somebody made you feel like something was stopped up inside of you. You know I'm telling the truth.
God.
Until somebody made you aware of these things, you didn't know anything about that. We didn't know anything about that. We just said, man, I wasn't feeling right. Something in the atmosphere ain't right. Now, I'm telling you now, I believe in demonic spirits. I don't play with that. But we start talking about we need to, what's that, smudge? Use sage and burn it and be all over the place with it. Now, I understand. I like for myself to smell great too. And I do burn incense, but I don't burn it for that. I like for my stuff to smell nice. Not because I'm trying to clear the atmosphere. Let me tell you something. If you want your atmosphere cleared and clean, pray. Praise. Make Abba Yahuwah feel at home. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Make the atmosphere conducive of his presence and nothing else. And you'll have a clean atmosphere. Because ain't nothing else going to want to be in there. Are you following me? That is important. Why is that important? Because we tend to pick up so much other stuff along the way in this walk. And that's why he's telling them it is more to life than food. You don't eat to live. Are you hearing me? No, you don't live to eat. You eat to live. But you got people that's their thing, man. I gotta have this, I gotta have that, and I gotta work. They're workaholics, and they'll just work. Clothes, all that. They don't care about anything else but that. He said, consider the ravens, for they neither sow nor reap, which neither have storehouse nor barn, and power feeds them. How much more are you valuable than birds? In other words, he's saying we are to have these things. Is he saying here that we're not to store, but we're not to? Hezekiah had storehouses. But the storehouses were not just for him, it was for Yahshua.
That's right.
That's the problem. If you're just storing up for yourself, that's a problem. But if you are storing up because you understand I could be a baruch to somebody, then that's what you're supposed to do. But if you're storing all this stuff up just for you, that's where the problems come in, because now you're selfish. So it's important that we understand this. Verse 25, and which of you by worrying can add to his stature 1 cubit? If you then not be able to do the thing which is the least, then why do you worry for the rest? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not, they spin not, and like one of these. If then power so clothes the grass, which is to Yah in the field, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little belief? Once again, it's important what he is doing. He is order, and he is setting parameters. Because without those set, then we guess what we tend to do? We tend to be all outside the wall. We be all outside the ring. Are you hearing me? And you get outside the ring, you're gonna die in a storm. You're gonna die. These games don't make this stuff up for naught. They understand outside of the ring and outside of that place of covenant and support, you're going to die because you have no resources. And it is so. Verse 29, and seek not you what you shall eat or what you shall drink, neither be you of doubtful mind. For these things do the Gentiles of the world seek after. And your Abba knows that you have what you have need of these things. So it is important that we understand he already knows that we need these things. In other words, he's telling us if we focus on what is truth. Now understand, I'm not going to say what is right, because everyone has a standard in their own life of what they merit to be right versus wrong. But when we follow the Torah, then we all are supposed to begin and end at the same place.
Right.
Because we're all following the same thing. And we know that the Torah is what governs our lives, and we know it is what disciplines our lives, and then we know it's what defines our lives. That's what is important. What he is saying here to many people, the first thing that they jump and do is they run, I gotta have this, I gotta have that, and they forget about their ruach. So they go broke, they go are rich. And this is why he's saying, don't seek those things, but seek the kingdom first. Are you hearing me? All right, let's start at verse 31. Chapter 12, verse 31. Let's read 8. So we read 8 because we're reading over in chapter 13.
Luke chapter 12, verse 31 reads, but rather seek ye the kingdom of Yahuwah, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Abba's great pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell that ye have and give alms. Provide yourselves bags which wax not old, a treasure in Shemayim that faileth not, where no thief approacheth, neither moth corrupteth. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Let your loins be girded about, and your lights burning. And ye yourselves like unto men that wait for their Adon, when he will return from the wedding, that when he cometh knocking, they may open unto him immediately. Woe to those servants whom the Adon when he cometh shall find watching. Verily I say unto you, that he shall gird himself and make them to sit down to meat, and will come forth and serve them. And if he shall come in the second watch, or come in the third watch, and find them so, room to those servants. And it is so.
And it is so. Now, once again, let's look at verse 31. But rather seek his kingdom. It's an idiomatic expression to obey the Torah, and all the Baruch will come on to you. it'll come on to you. If we don't obey Torah and walk in Torah. Now understand, I'm not talking about modified, and I'm not talking about the traditions and customs of men. I'm talking about the Torah, the instructions that the Abba has given unto us, his people. That is important for us to understand.
Okay.
Verse 32, fear not, little flock, for it is your Abba's great pleasure to give you the kingdom. Now listen what he's doing. Anytime you start hearing and seeing change in the addressing of the people, now he's bringing them into a place to understand you are the flock. You are the Abba's responsibility. He's going to take care of you. Now listen what he tells them. Sell that you have and give charity. Who do you think he's talking to? He's talking to those that are rich and are able to do it. If you only have one bed, one suit, are you hearing me? And a bicycle and a box of cereal, now follow what I'm saying. He's not talking to you because you're in a position to sell anything.
That's right.
You're the one that they're supposed to give the charity to. That's who he's talking to. So if the shoe doesn't fit, don't try to put it on. And this is where problems come in, because now people running around here and they're thinking, well, I got to sell everything and live out my car. No, he's telling them because they haven't to do so. Now listen what he says. Sell that you have and give charity. Provide yourselves bags which wax not old, a treasure in the Shemayim that fails not, where no thief can reach, neither moth corrupts. Because he knows that is the number one thing that stands between them and Torah truth. That money, their possessions, because they don't want to give it up. Are you following me?
Yes.
Now listen what he says. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. If your treasure is in your things, then whatever it takes for you to keep those things, even if it means breaking the Torah, you're going to do it. And then you're going to justify and say, well, I have to do it because if a man don't feed his family, or man don't take care of his family, he's less than an infidel. If you don't walk in truth, you are also considered an infidel. If you don't walk in truth,
That's right.
you start thinking the first way to take care of your mishpachah is to walk in truth and be obedient.
That's right.
But people will make excuses. Well, I got to because I got to help this and help that one. Not breaking the Torah, because you break the Torah, you ain't helping nobody.
That's right.
So it's important that we understand that. Now listen what he says. Let your loins be girded about and your lights burning. That is your strength. Are you hearing me? This is a drash reference to always keep Torah. The lamp is the Torah and the light that keeps us on the straight and narrow path. And you can research that in Tehillim 109 and 105. Let's get that real quick, which is Psalms 109 and 105. We have it saying it is so. Mm-hmm.
It is so.
All right, read that for me. 109. We have 109. Okay, hold on. All right, this is what we're reading. Okay. Yeah, that's a misprint. 109, because there is no 105. Into healing. All right, let's start at 109. Let's read verses 1 and let's read to 5. I think that's what they meant. 109 and 1 to 5. Let's read that.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Tehillim chapter 109, verses 1 to 5, coming from the NIV.
Mm-hmm.
O you whom I praise, do not remain silent. For wicked and deceitful men have opened their mouths against me.
Mm-hmm.
They have spoken against me with lying tongues. With words of hatred they surround me. They attack me without cause. In return for my friendship they accuse me, but I am a man of prayer.
Mm-hmm.
They repay me evil for good, and hatred for my friendship. And it is so.
And it is so. Let's read 6. Appoint over him one who is wrong, and let an accuser stand at his right hand. When he is judged, let him be found wrong, and let his prayer become sin. Let his young men be few, let another take his office. Let his children be fatherless, and his Asha a widow. And let his children always wander and beg and seek food out of their wounds. Let the creditor lay a snare for all that he has, and let strangers plunder his labor. Let him have no one to show favor to his fatherless children. Let his descendants be cut off, their name be blotted out in the next generation. Let the crookedness of his fathers be remembered before Yahuwah, and let not the sin of his mother be blotted out. Let them always be before Yahuwah, and let him cut off their remembrance from the Arids, because he did not remember to show kindness, but persecuted the poor and needy man, and the brokenhearted to put to death. He also ahab cursing, so let it come to him, and he did not delight in blessing, so let it be far from him. And he put cursing on as with his robe, so let it enter in his inward parts like water into his bones, and like oil. Let it be like a cloak he wraps around him, and as a girdle that he always girds on. This is the reward of my accusers from Yahuwah, and to those speaking evil against my being. But you, O Yahuwah, Master, deal with me for your name's sake, because your kindness is great. Deliver me, for I am poor and needy, and my heart is pierced within me. I have gone like a lengthening shadow. I have been driven away like a locust. My knees are weak through fasting, and my flesh grows lean from fatness. And I have become a reproach to them. They seek me, they see me, they shake their heads. Help me, Yahuwah, by my power. Save me according to your kindness, and let them know that this is your hand. You, Yahuwah, you have done it. Let them curse, but you, Baruch. They shall rise, but be ashamed, and let your servant rejoice. Let my accuser put on shame and be wrapped in their own confusion as in a robe. I greatly thank Yahuwah with my mouth, and I praise him in the midst of the throne. For he stands at the right hand of the poor to save from those judging his being. And it is so.
And it is so.
All right, 109 all the way to verse 31. 109 from 1 to 39. It's not a 105, but it still shows us to keep on the straight and narrow path. Even though Dawood in this was slighted, he never strayed. He never strayed. He maintained his place of conviction and stayed in Abba Yahuwah. So to a degree, you could use 109, 1 to 31. But once again, that was an error that was put in here, 109 and 105. Or they're talking about 109 and also chapter 105. Let's look at chapter 105 as well. Yeah, let's look at that. We won't read all of it, but let's read all the way to verse 10. Let's read all the way to 10. No, let's read all the way to verse 16. Yeah, let's read. Well, we read all.
And it's
Okay. Yeah, I see it here.
Tehillim chapter 105, verses 1 through 16. On his name. Make known among the nations what he has done.
Mm-hmm.
Sing to him, sing praise to him. Tell of all his wonderful acts. Esteem in his Kodesh name. Let the hearts of those who seek Yahuwah rejoice. Look to Yahuwah and his strength. Seek his face always. Remember the wonders and the judgments he pronounced. O descendants of Abraham his servant. O sons of Yaakov his chosen ones. He is Savior of our power.
Mm-hmm.
His judgments are in all the earth. He remembers his covenant forever, the word he commanded for 1,000 generations. The covenant he made with Abraham, the oath he swore to Yaseh. He confirmed it to Yaakov as a decree to Yahshua as an everlasting covenant, as the portion you will inherit. When they were few in number, few indeed, and strangers in it, they wandered from nation to nation, from one kingdom to another. He allowed no one to oppress them. For their sake he rebuked kings. Do not touch my anointed ones, do my prophets no harm. He called down famine on the land and destroyed all their supplies of food. Verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
And he sent a man before them, Yosef sold as a slave. They bruised his feet with shackles, his neck was put in irons. So what he foretold came to pass, till the word of Yahuwah proved him true. And it is so.
And it is so. Now, when we jump down to verse 45, let's look at verse 45. In that same chapter 105. Let's jump down to verse 45. There's two chapters. It was chapter 109 and then chapter 105. Yeah, it's two chapters. But we're going to jump to 45. In order that they might guard his laws and watch over his Torah, praise Yahuwah, joy, his chosen ones with singing. For he remembered his Kodesh word to Abraham, his servant. He opened the rock and water gushed out. It ran in the dry places, a river. They asked and he brought quail and satisfied them with the bread of Shemaim. Now, once again, it's talking about them staying on that straight, strict, and narrow path. Each one of these chapters, 109 and 105, is talking about the children of Yahshua. Although shackles, Joseph was treated very harshly, not just by his brothers, but even the Mitzrayim when he got there. But yet he did not falter. He stayed on the straight and narrow path. Are y'all following? So this is what this is. Once again, I read it as 109 and 105, but it is chapter 109 and chapter 105. Just want to make that clear. Y'all follow me?
Yes.
All right. All right. Now, let's go back to where we were in verse 36. And he says, and you yourselves like men that wait for their master when he will return from the wedding, that when he comes and knocks, they may open to him immediately. Baruch to those servants whom the master, when he comes, shall find watching. Verily I say to you that he shall gird himself and have them to take their place at the table and will come forth and serve them. Once again, it's important that we watch. Watching doesn't mean gazing. It means you continue to do what has already been set forth for you to do. Continue to keep the laws. Continue to keep, well, not his laws, his teachings, his doctrines. Continue to keep those things. Because in doing so, that is showing. And if he shall come in the second watch or come in the third watch and find them so, Baruch are those servants. And know this, and when you hear second and third watch, that's talking about the time of Yom. That is the time of Yom. There's nothing to take and say, oh man, what is that? We need to, basically, you got many people that try to define it as something else. It is talking about the time of Yom. The first watch, second watch, are you hearing me? Yes. Morning shown. And so now watch what it says. Baruch are those servants. And know this, that if the master of the bath had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have permitted his bath to be broken through. So it's important that we understand that we have to be what? Watchful. And in our being watchful, we are not just watching, but we are continually following, in the instructions that he has given unto us as a people. We're listening and we are walking out the instructions he's already given to us. And watch this. You can't get weary in doing what he's already told you to do consistently. You know, people think, man, it's mundane. I go to work every week, at the beginning of the second day, I got to go to week. But when you understand this is what you're supposed to do, so when you go to work, because it's not just a job to you, it becomes more than that. It becomes a platform that helps you. Then you view it differently. It becomes mundane, watch this, because so many times people start looking at changes sometimes that come about, or because it's the same thing over and over again. We can't become like that with the Abba, which sometimes happens to us if we're not careful. Same thing, Sabbath rest. We go to class, we come back, we go to sleep, wake up, we go through the next day. Same thing with the feast. But you got to understand something. If you don't value it and regard it and put it in its true nature and the true sense of the purpose of it, then it will become mundane unto you. Are y'all following me? It will become old to many people, but we should never let it become that. Why? Because when you start feeling like, oh man, it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. If your expectation is not heightened. And you, are you following me?
Yes.
I have a great expectation. Even if we're not here before you, I have a great expectation when I'm sitting at the table with my mishpachah that the Abba is going to say something to us that he has not spoken. That he's going to remind us, that he's going to constantly, what it is anything other than what it is, he's not going to change it. He's already given to us what he expects of us to do with it. And so it is up to us to maintain that. Are y'all following me? Because, you know, a lot of times people get the mindset, many times people get that mindset that it's the same thing over and over again. So what's the point? There is a point. It is the same relationships, whether it is a ish and an isha, whether it is a parent and their children, you have to expect more from one another. You have to. It's like water. If water becomes stagnant, it stinks and dies. It has to keep what? Moving. It become mundane, become boring. You know, Chicken Run, old movie. She said, my life flashed before my eyes and it was boring. It's crazy. But we can't let it be that way, because you have to understand something. The enemy is always trying to put us in a position to make us question the changes that we've made. And if he think he can get a foothold in there, make you feel like it's mundane and it's monotonous and it's just the same thing over and over again, then guess what? You're going to treat it like that. We're not bringing any bells and whistles. Are you following me? We're not adding no color. It's already in full color. In other words, we're not trying to spruce up what's already spruced up. It's got to be here that you want it. Because if it's not here, we can add all kind of theatrics and other things to it. But you'll truly only be in a hob with the theatrics and not the core and not the foundation of what's being given. And that is his truth. Am I making sense?
Yes.
That is important. You know, because people say, because we're going to give you lunch afterwards, whether you get fed or not. You ought to want it because it's the truth and it's going to help build you.
That's right.
The Torah is what makes the body strong. It's what makes this strong. It makes this strong. It makes the overall you strong and healthy. And then you don't need anything else. People be getting other stuff. You know, when you eat right, a lot of times people, I got to take this vitamin, that vitamin. Do you know they get the vitamin supplements from the food? So that's important. So if you have a balanced diet, then you don't have to take all these supplements. You know, you go and buy vitamin A, just eat your food. D, C, all these things. Eat the right food in the combinations and you get everything you need. Are you following me? That is important. So we got to get out of an hour when you do not expect him. Then Keeper said to him, Master, are you speaking this parable to us or for everyone else? Verse 42, and Yahu said, who then is that committed and wise administrator, whom his master shall make ruler over his household to give them their allowance of food in due season? Now he's asking them this parable. Why? Because you cannot be with him all this time and know that what we do is because we are, you could say, the owners, and it's our responsibility to keep watch and to maintain the house or the bed while the master is away. And if we don't maintain that, and then the house gets out of order, guess who's going to get in trouble? First of all, the administrator, and then everybody else up under. Because we've opened that door. Why? Because if we're not consistent. You have to be consistent in building. You have to be consistent in everything we do. And there are times that you have to shake yourself and say, I got to keep going. Because if I don't keep going, guess what happened? You fall back. What's going to get you? The enemy's going to get you. It's important we understand this. Now watch what he says in verse 43. Baruch is that servant whom his master, when he comes, shall find. So doing what? Keeping the house, the bed intact. Making sure everything is going in the manner it's supposed to go. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Making sure people are keeping their dose of Torah the way they're supposed to keep that immune system up so the enemy can't come in with an okie doke and then here you are with a sickness and now you are overtaken by that sickness. What is that sickness? Erroneous teachings, false teachings. Now you got that in you and now you be persuaded to accept this instead of walking in his truth. And though at times when you are giving and administering certain doses of certain things and you're giving people their Torah prescription to help them, many times the mentality is, oh, I've already heard this. I'm a firm believer. If you've already heard it and you're doing, then there ought to be some type of change. I hear me. People say, child, I work out all the time. You work out all the time. It's gonna be shown. It's gonna be seen. Your arms, your body, everything is going to show. It's going to show. It's the truth. You ain't gonna stay 30 pounds. That weight will start dropping off. If it doesn't, that means you are just saying you. It brings about a change. Even if nobody else wants to acknowledge and notice that change, you better know that the Abba does recognize the change. And that's another thing. We got to get away from what people think and what people consider, especially when what they think and say doesn't matter. Now, understand, I ain't talking about leadership because I have to say something because sometimes it go over people's head and then people start being
That's right.
That is important. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
All right. Let us look at verse 44. Let's read 8 verses, please. Chapter 12. We're still in chapter 12. Verse 44. Eight.
Luke chapter 12, verse 44. But if that servant says in his heart, my master is delaying his coming, and begins to beat the male servants and female servants, and to eat and drink and be drunk, the master of that servant shall come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour that he does not know, and shall cut him in two and appoint his portion with the unbelievers. And that servant who knew his master's desire and did not prepare, nor did according to his desire, shall be beaten with many stripes. But he who did not know, yet did what deserved flogging, shall be beaten with few. Everyone to whom much is given, from him much shall be demanded. Accomplished. Do you think that I came to give peace on Eretz?
Of a truth, I say to you that he will make him ruler. The number one thing he told us to do is be what? A witness. Very important that we understand that. Now listen what it says. But, and if that servant say in his heart, my master delays his coming, and shall begin to beat the men servant and maid servants, and to eat and drink and to be drunk. So you ain't trying to have him delay his coming, because that's when the mindset is, oh, he ain't coming back, so let's do whatever we want to do. That's a wicked servant. It's not for him, and at an hour when he is not aware, and will cut him in two, and will appoint him his portion with the unbeliever. Why? Because he wasn't acting like a believer. Just because things don't change. Now watch this. What was it, last year or the year before last? This is 2019 according to the Bulgarian calendar. 19, 18, 17. Let's just go back to these people, especially on what was it, Google Plus? What was that other site that they took down? Google Plus. The 400 years is up. 2019 is going to be it. 2018, they talk 2019. Because don't nobody know certain things that we don't know. Even the son doesn't know when he's coming, but he knows he's coming back.
Yeah.
They began to set times, and they began to try to use mathematical configurations to say this is when it's going to happen and this is going to take place. Now, let me show you something. Because that has not happened, those same ones, you don't see them. And then if you do, they are rowdy. Their mouths. And why? Because they feel like, okay, and basically commit our lives to this. He didn't know when he was coming. That's why he's given the analogy, because this has happened. And it's still happening. You destroy them with your mouth. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
It's important that we understand we have everything in the writings that we need to help us. Verse 47, and that servant which knew his master's will. We know the will of the Abba through our Mashiach. And prepare not himself, herself, you don't prepare. Neither did according to his will shall be beaten with many stripes. We know what we're supposed to do. If you can't be over inundated with all this stuff that's going on, you can't become, because the moment you do is the moment the enemy will take you out of that place where you are supposed to be. Now listen, he says you're gonna be beat with many stripes. You ain't getting out of that. We ain't getting out of that. Are you hearing me? And not figurative. Just as the Torah commands 39 stripes for the criminal, and I was just reading that in Devarim chapter 25, verses 1 through 3. These are the stripes that will be delivered to those who are disobedient believers, and they did get beat. Let's go to chapter 25 of Devarim.
And it is so.
Okay. Let's read.
Devarim chapter 5, verses 1 through 3. When men have a dispute, they are to take it to court, and the judges will decide the case, acquitting the innocent and condemning the guilty. If the guilty man deserves to be beaten, the judge will take him and make him lie down and have him flogged in his presence with the number of lashes his crimes deserves. But he must not give him more than 40 lashes. If he is flogged more than that, your brother will be degraded in your eyes. And it is so.
And it is so. Is that not what they did to Yahushua? Because they found what? They found him, not because he was guilty, but they found him guilty. And he took 39 stripes. Are you hearing me? Yes. So when you have all this stuff, but now you go tell them I'm trying to make somebody lay down a grown man and whip him, you better have a gun or something else with you. Because some of these brothers be like, no, you ain't putting your hands on me. Whoop me. I ain't no child. But they got flogged if they were in error. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Because they understood this was what the punishment. It's better to be whipped than to be shot to death.
Right.
Take a beating any day instead of being shot. But see, we don't have that, because, like I say, they get that now. Once again, it is because you know what to do and you fail to do it. But he that knew not and did commit things worthy of strife shall be beaten with few. It is important. We know what to do. Once again, be a witness. We are commanded to be a witness. And we are to stand in Torah. No matter what, no matter who walks away, we are given to do so. Are you hearing me? Yes. Now, verse 49, I came already kindled. And what will I if it be already kindled? Okay. I came to send fire on the earth. And what will I if it be already kindled? He's asking them a question. But I have an immersion to be immersed with, and how distressed I am until it is accomplished. You suppose that I have come to give shalom on earth. I tell you no, but rather division. For from henceforth there shall be 5 in one bed, divided 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. And we see that. Somebody will say, what makes them divided? Their belief. Because you have those that believe in the Lord, you take up, you be against them. No, he's the reason why we're divided. We're divided because of him. And we will stay divided because I'm going to keep believing in him. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
That is why there's division. And it's not just, and once again, it's in the home. Those that believe in the Mashiach and those that don't. And then and it's bad, but the majority of the time you have those that will come together and say, no, that ain't true. We don't believe in him. And then you have those two or that one that's fighting to maintain and the whole. And because they want to believe and really want to trust in the Mashiach, there is major division in the home. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Verse 53, the Abba shall be divided against the son, and the son against the Abba, the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Now, once again, folks just believe it's supposed to be that way just because. No, the reason is because you have those that believe. Now, in our bed, we all believe in the Mashiach. Are you understand? In other words, the reason there is division is because those that don't want to accept him have made the choice to be on that side instead of being on the side of truth. And that's where the division comes in. Because people will think you're crazy, and people think you lost your mind and fell off your rocker if you was ever on one, and they began to think that you just lost it because you choose to believe in the Mashiach and you go against that what is ingrained and that what has been the norm and the natural for everybody else, and that's Christianity. When you go against that, you're going to have enemies in low places, high places, and you're going to be divided. Sometimes family will cut you completely off. It's the truth. So that's you have to expect that, because they're going to begin to look at you as like you're crazy, you're a cult, and you done lost your mind, and his name changed, and you start thinking your name ain't changed, but it's okay for his name to change. And you got to understand, it's not just his name that changed; it's the whole concept of his life that changed. According to them, Jesus came to do away with the instructions. But according to Matthew 15 and 24, he did not.
Right.
So you got to understand, they put this figurehead up there with this character. And now people run after this and they're crazy and blinded by this. We've had this and had that. Yeah, but at the same time, you may say that's a blessing, and it's not. It's a curse. Milky white. And even if you make him black with dreads, his name is still Jesus.
Right.
There's no change in that. So you got to understand something. This thing here is truly serious. And accept, they open up their hearts to truth. They will continue to follow in that. They will continue to be in darkness, and they will continue to be division in houses. I hear about husbands and wives being divided. I hear about mothers and daughters being divided. My mother is not in truth. I am, but they treat me so bad. So you have to understand, this is what has happened. Did it happen in all houses? No, it did not. No, it did not happen in all houses. Are you following me? Because we are standing in this belief, and we will continue to stand. And it is so. All right. Let's read 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, and then we're going to chapter 13, and we're going to read all the way to verse 9. Let's read 6 verses, please. Starting with verse 54.
And he said also to the people, when you see a cloud rise out of the west, straightway you say, a rainstorm is coming, and so it is. And when you see the south wind blow, you say, there will be heat, and it comes to pass. You hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky and of the earth. But how is it that you do not discern this time? Yes, and why even of yourselves do you not judge what is right? When you go with your opponent to the ruler, as you are in the way, Give diligence that you may be delivered from him, lest he hand you to the judge, and the judge deliver you to the officer, and the officer cast you into prison. I tell you, you shall not depart there till you have paid the very last penny.
Yeah, you can read verse 1.
And there were present at that season some that told him of the Galileans, whose blood Pilatus had mingled with their sacrifices. And it is so.
And it is so. And it is so. Now, once again, he said, you can discern when a storm is coming, when a heat wave is coming. You're a hypocrite because you can discern the face of the sky and of the earth, but how is it that you do not discern this time? What time? The visitation of the Mashiach. They couldn't discern it, just like now. People can fight you tooth and nail about the moon and everything else. But when it comes down to this, they don't want to touch that. And it says, yes, and why even of yourselves you do not judge what is right? Once again, evidence and proof. Get the evidence, but also make sure you have proof to validate your evidence, and not somebody's theory and their idea or their ideology of what they believe. No, get the proof. Have scripture to back it up and maintain it. That's important. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Very important. Because without it, then we just basically are constantly fighting somebody else's views. And Josephus, the historian, notes an event where many Galileans were murdered by Pilate. This man, Judas of Galilee, Acts 5:37, who tried to draw away some of the Ibram people from the Roman government and told them it was not lawful to give taxes to Caesar, at which Pilate, being enraged, sent a band of soldiers and murdered them all over taxes. Over taxes. So he mingled their with the sacrifice, with their sacrifices. Tell you, there's some dirty people out there. You think they ain't doing it now? Yeah, they doing it. Yeah, they're doing it. All right, let's read verses 2, 3, 4. We're going to read all the way to 9. Let's read three more, and then we'll go to another 3, and then we'll get the latter 3, starting with verse 2, 2, 3, and 4, please.
Lucas chapter 13, starting at verse 2.
Mhm.
And Yahush answering said to them, do you think that these Galileans were worse sinners than all other Galileans because they have suffered like this? I say to you, no. But unless you repent, you shall all perish in the same way. Or those 18 on whom the tower in Shiloh fell and killed them, do you think that they were greater offenders than all other men who dwelt in Jerusalem?
And it is so. Now look, he's giving them, asking them questions. All right, let's do 5, 6, 7.
Verse 5. I tell you, no. But unless you repent, you too will all perish.
Mm-hmm.
Then he told this parable. A man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he went to look for fruit on it, but did not find it. So he said to the man who took care of the vineyard, for 3 years now I've been coming to look for fruit on this fig tree, and I haven't found any. Cut it down. Why should it use up the soil? And it is so.
And it is so. All right, let's do 8 and 9.
But he replied to him, Sir, leave it to this year also, until I dig around it and fertilize it. Perhaps it will bear fruit next. But if not, you can cut it down.
And it is so.
And it is.
Yes, 9 is our last verse. All right, let's go back and let's look at this. Now, listen what he's saying. And Yahush answered and said to them, you Samaritains were worse sinners than all the other Galileans because they suffer such things? He was asking a question. Then he answers, I tell you no, but except you repent, you shall all likewise perish. That's important to understand. You can't look at somebody else's situation and say, dang, did you see what happened to them? Yes, but you need to repent. That's what happened to them. Are you following me? All right, now, verse 4. Or those 18 upon whom the tower of Siloam fell and killed them, do you think that they were worse sinners than all men that dwelt in Jerusalem? Once again, he said, I tell you no, but except you repent, you shall all likewise perish. So you got to understand something. Once again, you can't look at what happened to somebody else. You got to look at your own garden and see what fruit you're producing. And if you're not producing, repent. Verse 6. He spoke also this parable. A certain man had a fig etza planted in his vineyard, and he came and sought fruit upon it and found none. Then he said to the dresser of his vineyard, behold, these 3 years I have come seeking fruit on this fig etza and found none. Cut it down. Why should it continue to deplete the soil? In other words, I space. I don't want to be looked at as being one of those. Circumcised. This is Torah designation of fruit trees. Now look, he said 3 years it didn't produce. Now watch this. I have come seeking fruit on the fig tree and found none. There was none. Cut it down. Why should it continue to deplete the soil? And he answered to him, Master, let it alone this year also till I shall dig around it and put fertilizer on it. Now once again, we know what fertilizer does. Are you hearing me? Yes. Now, let's look at this. And if it bears fruit, well. And if not, then after that, you can cut it down. Now, once again, you have to understand the vine dresser and the master. He said, don't cut it down. Give it some more time. I will do my part. And hopefully I can jumpstart this thing or get it back in the place it is supposed to be in. It is important that when we realize our position and what we're supposed to do, regardless of how futile and how it seems in vain, it is important that we continue to do, because watch this, the Abba is looking for fruitfulness.
Okay.
And as a mediator, as a Mora, or whatever position you're in, if you are a leader, then this is for you as well as for me. When he comes looking and saying there is no fruit, what will you do? Will you let it be cut down? Will you let them be cut down? Or will you say, give me more time to fertilize this? Now understand, you got to understand, not only did the dresser have to do this, but he or she had to do more research. What can I do to make this thing right? What can I do to make a responsibility to make this thing fruitful? And if it does not, or they don't, then whatever you choose to do with them is in your hands. Are we willing to do that? Are we willing to go that extra mile to save that which is not fertile or productive? You follow me?
Yes.
It is important that we understand that the Abba is looking for fruitfulness. I hear me. And if we don't do that, then it shows truthfully. Now hear what I'm about to say. Our lack of compassion and concern. Because you got to understand, he already knew the tree wasn't fruitful, but he couldn't do nothing until the master said do so. So it is important, once again, as a person in position, and if you are in position of a leader or more, that you be reminded that when the Abba comes, he's looking for fruitfulness. And it's our responsibility to make that person or persons fruitful, so that there is something that the Abba can take from their lives. Are you following?
Yes.
Now you gotta understand, once again, the tree had to be put in a position to become fertile or to bring forth fruit. And so this is important for us, once again, as a people, to check out our fruit. Make sure we're being fruitful. And if we're not being fruitful, then do what we need to do. Listen, because sometimes people can be so hard-headed. And let me tell you something, as a moral, you don't like to deal if you are, but I'm not going to throw hard-headed people away either. Because he could have gone through and cut that tree down. But it wasn't his responsibility to do that. His responsibility was to maintain it.
Right.
So what I am saying to you is, let's maintain and let's be fruitful. If I'm digging around your roots and I am dunging your roots, take that and let's roll by.
Right.
Are you following me?
Yes.
Because it is important. And the only thing we can do is use what we've been given, and that is the Torah. Prayer, compassion, and commitment. So it's important we remain committed. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Very important. And let me say this, and let me do my responsibility. It is not my job, it is my calling. Let me do what I'm supposed to do to make you be fruitful, or to become or maintain your fruitfulness. Any more or more that is in the position, let them do what they're supposed to do to make you fruitful or maintain your fruitfulness. Are you following me?
Yes.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Once again, looking at the life of Yahush and his the multitude, he teaches a multitude of things they needed to see. Now, as this is a yom of commemoration and celebration, let our eyes be open to see what he's saying to us. Let our ears be attentive to what he is saying and conveying to us, so that we will no longer be in the same place we were in. But let us begin anew and a rest, a time that we cease from our hard labor, but it is a time that we listen attentively to his instructions for our lives. And it is so. And it is so. Once again, I am Mora Aliyah Yasharal. I want you to remember here at Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom, a Bread Belief congregation, this is the place where
The Torah does the body excellent.
Until next time, may Abba Yahuwah Baruch Atah and keep you in his shalom until we meet again. Also, I want you to remember that you've been touched by Champion TV, a place where the champions reside. And it is so.
And it is so.
So.